He walked the hallways like a ghost. No one knew he was living in the locker room. For 3 months, he slept on towels, showered before sunrise, and hid his pain behind silence. But one night, a teacher stayed late, and what she discovered would change his life forever. This is the story of the boy no one noticed, until one teacher chose to care. He was always the first to arrive, and the last to leave. But no one ever asked why. To the students at Jefferson High, Marcus Evans was just another quiet senior, polite, invisible, unremarkable. He didn't speak unless spoken to. He didn't eat in the cafeteria. He never stayed for lunch. Most days he'd sit by the vending machines with an old library book in his lap and headphones on, not even plugged in, just worn to block out the world. Teachers called him low maintenance. Students called him ghost. But Marcus wasn't trying to be mysterious. He was just trying to survive. Because for the last 87 nights, Marcus hadn't gone home. He didn't have one. He'd been sleeping in the high school locker room, behind the rows of metal doors and forgotten gym bags. He'd wait until everyone left after basketball practice, sneak in through the back exit he'd memorized, and curl up on a pile of rolled-up towels with a hoodie for a pillow. He didn't choose this life. Life chose it for him. Marcus lost his mother to a stroke the year before. No father, no siblings, no extended family willing to take him in. After bouncing between overcrowded foster homes and sleeping on the floors of classmates who eventually stopped answering his texts, he ran out of options. The school gym became his shelter. The sound of bouncing basketballs and hallway chatter was his lullaby. The cold tile beneath his back reminded him every night, "You don't belong here." But you have nowhere else to go. He kept a small duffel bag hidden in a supply closet, packed with exactly 3 shirts, 1 towel, and a toothbrush. Every morning at 5 a.m., he'd wake before the janitors arrived, shower with freezing water, and slip out the back door before anyone saw him. Then he'd walk around the block for an hour, pretending he was arriving like every other student. No one noticed the dark circles under his eyes. No one asked why he never turned in group projects. No one questioned why he always wore the same shoes, duct taped at the sides. He had mastered the art of disappearing in plain sight, but what hurt Marcus more than the hunger, more than the cold tile floor at night, was that no one ever asked how he was doing. Not once, not the counselor, not the security guards, not the teachers who smiled at him in the hallway and kept walking. Invisibility had become his shield, because being seen might mean being sent away. And all Marcus wanted was to stay in school, to graduate, to matter. But it only takes one moment, one person staying 5 minutes late, to shatter the silence around someone's pain. And that moment was about to come. It was a Tuesday evening, the kind of quiet, overcast night where the school echoed with the emptiness of after hours. Most teachers had already gone home. The janitor's radio played softly down the hall. The only light still glowing on the second floor came from room 212, Miss Lawson's classroom. Miss Diane Lawson, Jefferson High's English teacher, was known for staying late. While others rushed out at 3:15, she often lingered, grading essays, revising lesson plans, or simply soaking in the silence. That night she stayed later than usual, lost in a pile of personal narrative assignments. She hadn't even noticed the time when a distant sound made her pause, a locker creaking. Then a faint thump. Odd, the building should have been empty by now. She stood up, grabbed her keys, and stepped into the hallway. The janitor's cart wasn't nearby. Maybe he left something open. But as she walked past the gym, she noticed something strange. The back entrance door, normally chained after, ours wasn't shut all the way. Cautiously, she stepped inside. The gym was dark, except for the faint green glow of the exit signs. The bleachers were retracted, the scoreboard dim. It should have been completely still. But there, near the edge of the locker room entrance, was movement. She froze. A shadow shifted across the wall. Then, a figure emerged from the locker room hallway, carrying a duffel bag and a rolled-up towel. Her breath caught. It was Marcus. He hadn't seen her yet. His head was down, his steps practiced, like someone going through a nightly routine. He reached the bench behind the bleachers, began laying down the towel like a mat, and took off his shoes. Then he looked up and saw her standing there. For a moment, the entire room felt frozen. Neither of them spoke. Marcus's face drained of color. I'm sorry, Miss Lawson, he stammered, panic creeping into his voice. Please don't call anyone. I'll leave. I swear. He grabbed his bag, ready to run, but she didn't yell. She didn't scold him. She just stepped forward, slowly, and said the words that would change his life. How long have you been sleeping here? His lips trembled, his grip tightened on the bag. Almost 3 months, he whispered. She took another step closer, heart breaking with each second. Why didn't you tell someone? Marcus looked down. Because if they find out, I'll get kicked out, and if I can't go to school, then what's the point? Miss Lawson didn't answer right away. Instead, she did something simple, something no one had done for Marcus in a very long time. She sat down on the bleacher next to him. No judgment, no pity, just presence. And then she asked the question that shattered his wall. Are you hungry? He nodded, just once. That night, she drove him to a diner 2 blocks away. He didn't say much at first, but Miss Lawson listened anyway, because sometimes silence says everything. And for the first time in months, Marcus felt seen. The diner was nearly empty. A low jazz tune played from the old speakers, and the waitress brought them grilled cheese sandwiches and hot cocoa. No questions asked. Marcus stared at the steam rising from his cup. He looked tired, older than his years, like someone who had learned to carry weight without making a sound. Miss Lawson didn't push. She let the silence breathe. She sipped her cocoa, waited, and allowed him the space to feel safe. Finally, in a quiet voice, Marcus began to speak. My mom passed last winter, he said, eyes still fixed on his plate. Stroke, no warning. 1 minute she was helping me fill out my FAFSA form, and the next week I was identifying her body. Ms. Lawson's heart sank. He continued, No, Dad. He left when I was 6. No relatives that stuck around. I stayed. With a friend for a while, then a shelter. But they moved me to a group home. It was rough. Fights. Stolen stuff. No peace. So I left. He looked up at her, voice steady but fragile. School was the only thing I had left. I just wanted to finish senior year. Miss Lawson nodded, trying not to let her tears show. You've been surviving completely alone, he shrugged. Wasn't trying to bother anyone. I figured if I could just stay quiet, make it to graduation, I could figure it out. Marcus, she said gently, you don't have to do this alone anymore. The next morning, she walked straight into the principal's office and closed the door behind her. For the first time in her career, she raised her voice. He is a student of this school, not just a body in a seat. He's smart, resilient, and he's done everything right while surviving in conditions that would break most adults. And we missed it, all of us. The principal sat stunned, then nodded. What do you want me to do? Let me help him. No red tape, no judgment, just help. And help they did. Miss Lawson called a nonprofit she volunteered with, one that provided emergency housing for homeless youth. Within 48 hours, they had Marcus placed in a quiet, supervised home with a private room, meals, and internet so he could study in peace. He didn't call it home yet, not at first, but for the first time in months, he slept in a real bed with clean sheets and a door that locked. The school counselor, now aware of the truth, offered weekly sessions, not as a formality, but as support, and Ms. Lawson, she checked in every day. Sometimes just a text, sometimes just a smile in the hallway, and slowly something changed. Marcus stopped walking with his head down. He started raising his hand in class. And most importantly, he started believing that maybe, just maybe, he belonged in the world after all. A warm spring sun hung over Jefferson High. The same hallways that Marcus once slipped through unnoticed now echoed with his footsteps, no longer quiet, but confident. It started small. He began showing up to class not just early, but alert. He asked questions. took notes, stayed after to help clean whiteboards and straighten desks. Teachers started whispering about how different he seemed. "Did you see Marcus in Lit today? He aced that exam." "He's a natural leader." Who knew? Ms. Lawson knew. And she wasn't the only one anymore. When the principal announced a tutoring initiative, Marcus volunteered first. He began helping freshmen who were struggling, not for credit, not for praise, just because he knew what it felt like to fall behind and feel invisible. Students started noticing too. A girl from AP Biology who used to ignore him now asked him to join her study group. The basketball captain fist-bumped him in the hallway. The whispers changed, from "Who's that kid?" to "That's Marcus. He's smart as hell." He joined the debate team, then the creative writing club. His short story about grief, based on his mom, won the district contest. Ms. Lawson read it 3 times. Every time she cried. By the time graduation arrived, Marcus was more than just a name on the roster. He had become something few expected, a leader. On graduation day, the gymnasium overflowed with proud families and beaming seniors in caps and gowns. Marcus stood in line, cap slightly crooked, palms sweaty, heart pounding. He still remembered those first nights in the locker room, how cold it was, how scared he had been. Now he stood in the same space, and people were cheering. For him, when his name was called, the applause was louder than most. Marcus Evans, graduating with honors and recipient of the Resilience Scholarship. Ms. Lawson sat near the front, clapping with tears in her eyes. She wasn't the only one. As he crossed the stage, he stopped, turned toward the crowd, and took the mic, just for a moment. "I know I wasn't always easy to see," he began, his voice shaking just a little. "But I want to thank the one teacher who didn't just see me, she fought for me when I had nothing left." He looked directly at Ms. Lawson. "She didn't treat me like a problem. She treated me like a person. And because of her, I get to start over." The crowd stood. Even the principal wiped his eyes. That day, Marcus didn't just graduate. He rose. He rose above the silence, the system, the sorrow. He walked away not just with a diploma, but with dignity, direction, and the kind of hope that can't be faked. And as he stepped off that stage, someone whispered from the back row, "He's going places." They were right. 5 years later, the Jefferson High Auditorium was packed again, but this time for a different kind of celebration. The banner above the stage read, "Alumni Speaker Series, From Struggle to Strength." Students shuffled into their seats, half interested, some scrolling through phones. Then the principal stepped up to the mic. "Today's speaker is someone many of you may not know, but should. He sat in these same desks, walked these same halls, and once he slept in our locker room. Please welcome Marcus Evans." The room went still. The doors opened and in walked Marcus, not as a student, but as a polished young man in a navy blazer, crisp white shirt, and calm eyes that had seen the world and survived it. Some students clapped, others stared, but all of them listened. As he stepped to the podium, he took a breath, then spoke. "Most people thought I was just another quiet kid. I kept my head down. I didn't speak unless spoken to. But I was hiding a truth. I was homeless. I didn't have a bed or a safe place to go. I was afraid someone would find out and kick me out of the only thing that kept me going, school." He paused. You could hear the air conditioning hum. A few teachers leaned forward in their seats. But someone did find out, and instead of turning me away, she helped me stand. He looked toward the front row, where Ms. Lawson sat, hands clasped, tears quietly slipping down her cheek. "That teacher, Miss Lawson, changed my life. Not because she gave me money, not because she fixed everything, but because she saw me." She asked one question, "Are you okay?" And she meant it, he smiled. "Now I work in youth advocacy. I help students just like I used to be, kids who are brilliant, brave, and just need someone to believe in them." He looked out at the students. "You may not know what your classmates are going through. Some of them are surviving more than you can imagine. So be kind, look up, ask, listen." The room rose to its feet in thunderous applause. That afternoon, dozens of students lined up to talk to him. Some asked for advice. A few whispered their own secrets about unstable homes, about fear, about dreams they thought didn't matter. Marcus listened to every one of them. And when he finally left the building, he passed by the old gym entrance, the same door he used to sneak through in the dead of night. He paused, smiled, then whispered to himself, "Full circle," because what began in silence ended in impact. Not every hero wears a cape. Some wear hoodies. Some sleep on locker room benches. And some, like Marcus, rise quietly from the shadows, only to return and shine a light for the next soul still stuck in the dark. If you were inspired by this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories that touch the heart and open the mind.